to play games. They're getting ready to launch giant wars, and I'm telling you, I got their memos. They're public. I'll cover this when we come back. They're getting ready to stage terror attacks and blame it on domestic groups. They think we're so dumb, they publicly are talking about it in major newspapers. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Hour 2 coming up with Ron Paul, by the way. All right, we are back. We are into hour number 2 today. And Americans have just gotten used to everything being fine. There being plenty of food and everything and entertainment. And, you know, people don't question how do highways get built? Where does electrical power come from? Where does food come from? It's just, oh, the cameras watch me and the helicopters fly around and our country starts big wars and kills people en masse, and ships guns into Mexico and drugs into the U.S., but everything's okay. They're going to leave me alone. No, they're not going to leave you alone. They've committed so many crazy crimes, and they want to go to the next level, so they're just butchering the entire Bill of Rights and Constitution. And we come back to the next segment. In fact, I'm going to give the number out right now. I'm going to open the phones up right now. Is our phone system ready to be opened up? Here is the toll-free number, 877-789-ALEX. And I would like to hear from you on the crossroads issue. I mean, it encompasses every issue, but the attacks on lemonade stands, the Amish, the internal documents where it's veterans and conservatives and libertarians the system wants to go after, the military openly training and in army times and stars and stripes preparing for war with the domestic citizens, the NDAA, the open internet censorship, all of this. I want to hear from you on these issues. I want to get your view, your take on it. 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539, and we'll get you up and on the air. I want to get your take on all of this. And then in the last segment and a half or so, I'm going to air most of the Ron Paul interview I did last Tuesday because it's such a big interview, and it got picked up by hundreds of blogs and websites, well, really thousands, but hundreds of big ones and dozens that I saw without even looking hard of major newspapers responded to it, some of them with big demonization campaigns. Ron Paul is insane. He was on Alex Jones's show, that crazy man, talking about how they want to use the military on the American people, the insanity of it, while it's just all over the news. The NDAA does that. But see, we're not allowed to say we don't like that because the anointed ones at the Weekly Standard and Hot Air and all these liberal and neocon sites and, you know, the other sites that are out there like the New Republic, real liberal. Oh, my gosh, Alex Jones says there's eugenics and a plan to reduce population. How crazy. How nutsy. Oh, and then Ron Paul says that NORTHCOM and the U.S. military combatant command for North America is taking over the country. And Ron Paul agreed. It was crazy. I mean, I've got stacks. CBS News admits citizens to be targeted by military domestically can be indefinitely detained. I mean, it's all right here. NDAA bill aims to suppress internet freedom. International Business Times. Al Jazeera detaining U.S. citizens. How did we get there? BBC. I mean, and I'm like, hey, the Army Times says the military is training to, quote, pull triggers on U.S. citizens. Oh, hey, the manuals I've been sent by the military and police that are concerned say it's for the U.S. citizens, it's not for Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda's been given control of Libya and is being put into Syria and other areas by our government. Al-Qaeda works for them. You know, there's a whole history. Zbigniew Brzezinski wrote 2 books bragging about it. Shut up, you traitorous piece of garbage. Why don't you go work with Al-Qaeda? No, I didn't help get Al-Qaeda on the airplane on Christmas Day. I didn't hang out with Anwar al-Awlaki like the Secretary of the Army secretly. You know, I didn't... I'm concerned about that. I think it's bad. Shut up, Al-Qaeda traitor. But I don't like Al-Qaeda. Shut up, Al-Qaeda. You got to support Al-Qaeda to fight Al-Qaeda. That's crazy. Jones reads government documents. Everything he's saying's coming true. That makes him even more nuts. You hear that, public? He's crazy. Don't listen to him. John Corzine took your private bank accounts and doesn't know where the money is because he's a good guy. So's Bernie Madoff. So is Ken Lay. And I guess so's Hitler. Alex doesn't like Hitler. He's bad. Yeah, Tim Tebow and Tom Tom Brady right now. The Broncos is, I'm not really trending. I don't know all the names. It's the Broncos, right? The Broncos and the Patriots. You know, they wear a three-corner hat. If you wear a three-corner hat, the FBI puts you on a list, but you can have a football team with a three-corner hat. They're all having a big battle right now. They're all having a big fight right now, and that's what matters for the future of America. Not the absolute, total police state control grid coming down on our heads. And boy, if you go to that football game and yell and scream and get all upset and paint yourself up in war paint, the media will say it's normal and good. But if you get upset about the military that you pay for and drones now being used against farmers, Predator drones, and the Air Force, and Obama's rural affairs system, National Council under the Pentagon that is supposed to spy on rural communities. And if you get upset about SWAT teams, going after Amish for selling milk to their neighbors, you're a bad person. And if you get upset about the military announcing they're now going to be used domestically against the American people and that you can be disappeared into a black hole, and then you get the training manuals, has nothing to do with Al-Qaeda. It's all for U.S. citizens. Why, if you raise your voice or get a little frantic about that, if you get frantic about Bernie Madoff stealing $100 billion, you're a bad person. If you get mad at White House advisor, former head of Goldman Sachs, John Corzine, lifting $1.2+ billion and saying he doesn't know where the money went as CEO, and the Fed saying they don't know either, as if they can't follow wire transfers when Forbes and others say it's J.P. Morgan. But they just say they don't know, and the head of the CME group came out, the biggest commodity group, and said, no, we talked to them. They took the money out of people's private accounts. It's a bank robbery, but nobody's going to get in trouble. Yeah, that shouldn't concern you at all. You know what? In fact, it's bad to get upset. I'm going to apologize. Again, I mentioned this earlier, that I'm going to your phone calls. Then I'll get more into internet censorship, and then we got that Ron Paul interview that he was on with us live. Well, on Tuesday, we're going to re-air it here for some stations that just carry the Sunday show because it's powerful. It's one of the most powerful Ron Paul interviews ever, not just one that I've done, where he laid it all out and said the National Defense Authorization Act, now passed the House and Senate on Obama's desk, establishes martial law in America, because that's what it does. That's what the military on the streets is, but it goes one further. They can disappear you. It's illegitimate. It's a fraud. They could say that we've all got to worship Santa Claus in a federal law. Doesn't mean it's so. Or they could announce they're going to catapult children, homeless children, and use them as skeet, for the president. Doesn't mean he can do that. Hitler could pass whatever law he wanted. Stalin or Mao. Doesn't mean it's legitimate. It violates the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, common sense, universal law. It's a fraud. But the crooks in government know they got a 9% approval rating. They know the public's awake to them. They know the awakening's accelerating, and they're scared, and so their long backup plans are being activated. What came out 2 weeks ago, we were sent the documents with the phone numbers. They were confirmed to be real documents. Homeland Security is now manning the FEMA camps across the country. We have the internal emails, the maps, the documents, everything for Halliburton and Kellogg Brown and Root. And did any mainstream media pick it up? Zero. Because that's why they're dying. Why does InfoWars get 1 million visitors a day? Why does my radio show have 3 million listeners a day? Because we're real media. You aren't. You aren't. And so what's their plan? Oh, they'll just shut it down. And I have a report here how China and Russia, the New York Times and others have reported, use the same system that we're setting up, where the Pentagon could shut websites down without due process for copyright or slander, and where the government can direct messages over your website when they want. That's now happening with EAS alerts over your cell phones, as we told you years ago. American future. Russia and China use copyright laws to crush government criticism. Here is the Hill newspaper, Internet Piracy Bill, a free speech kill switch. Here's AFP and Breitbart. Internet architects oppose online piracy bills. Here's the same letter from the AP. This is from the inventors of the Internet, and the real inventors, not Al Gore, another congenital liar. All censorship schemes impact speech beyond the category they were intended to restrict. But these bills are particularly egregious in the regard because they cause entire domains to vanish from the web. They say a link on a message board to an article they claim is copyright. Under this, they say a link to an article. This isn't a joke here. A link to a mainstream article is copyright. You're not even allowed to link, which is how the internet works. Your site and the entire server system is taken down. So it's a reign of terror. Not just infringing pages or files, they say. An incredible range of useful law-abiding sites can be blacklisted under these proposals. Already happening, folks. The signatories, who included Vint Cerf, considered one of the fathers of the internet, said censorship of internet infrastructure will invariably cause network errors and security problems. And you got Cass Sunstein, the regulation czar, in Obama's administration saying, censor the internet, shut down people that criticize the government, and go one further. He says, you can go pull this up. Well, even the Washington Post reported and said, well, maybe it's reasonable. New York Magazine, when they wrote a profile on me earlier this year, said maybe Cass Sunstein's right. They said once we shut their sites down, then we're going to arrest them. But we got to first shut the sites down. And now they got the army trucks ready to come pick you up at your house. Oh, is everybody going to do like they did in Nazi Germany and go line up? I don't think so. Cops like pepper spraying, college students at sit-ins and stuff, or billy clubbing them. Ooh, this is kind of escalating into something that ain't going to be too pretty. But I know you've had a fluoride head public put up with everything, so you think we're sheep, you're wolves. A nation of sheep will be ruled by wolves, Thomas Jefferson. Don't worry, though, the system's going to hurt you, too, all you so-called enforcers. They're going to hurt you real good. An incredible range of useful law-abiding sites can be blacklisted under these proposals. The signatories included Vint Cerf, inventor of the internet. This is true in China, Iran, other countries that censor the network today. It will be just as true of American censorship, they said. If the U.S. begins to use its central position in the network for censorship that advances its political and economic agenda, because that's what they plan to do with it, the consequences will be far-reaching and destructive. Oh, you want me to continue? Just type in, new bill is Chinese censorship model. Here's another one, International Business Times. NDAA bill aims to suppress internet freedom. It says the Pentagon can shut down anything it doesn't like for any reason offensively in America. We've already tracked Pentagon servers knocking us down over and over again. That's why we ended up spending so much money to build 3-layer deep constellations of different systems. When they shut one down, we go, okay, turn up this backup. I'm already building more backups outside the U.S. But under this, it's an international treaty. They're going to block that and delist it from Google. Oh, my gosh. They've got new systems where they can delist a voice from the internet. They have systems, where you hold your iPhone up for years and it picks up whatever the music is you like, Christmas music, whatever the case is. Different programs that do that, like Shazam. Well, now, in fact, I keep forgetting, what's the name of that program? Actually, Rob has it on his phone. Pull up iPhone app that could tell you what a song is. It's Shazam. Okay, I'm right. Good. I just want to test my memory here. The point is, now they have those loaded on the internet where my voice has now been banned on YouTube in one respect. And I'm going to go to break and come back to your calls. To put Endgame as a test in stores 4 years ago, and it did become the #1 documentary for 2 months running on Amazon, to beat Al Gore's film out for months, up against his head-to-head. Surprisingly easy to do. I let a distributor, I hold the copyright, a distributor put it out worldwide. The Canadian group that is distributing it in Canada put the program on YouTube through their system where my voice, we try to upload 30 seconds of my film to YouTube, boom, shuts it down.